Crescent City Steakhouse, a true neighborhood restaurant operated by the Vojkovic family since 1934. It is the oldest steakhouse in the city of New Orleans. Serving only hand-cut, prime-aged, corn-fed beef for over 80 years, Crescent City Steakhouse has become a dining destination for both die-hard locals and adventurous travelers who seek traditional, timeless New Orleans cuisine. Crescent City Steakhouse, 1001 North Broad, on the corner of St. Philip, in the heart of New Orleans.
Hey, don't forget my pimento cheese. Of course.
It's okay, I'll take it from here.
Hey, the guy get a seat.
For the love of palmetto cheese.
So here's the bottom line. Well, it's funny that you say that. Let me tell you. Good evening and welcome to Primetime Sports. I'm your host, Scott Alexander, and I cannot wait for this show today because we have something a little bit unusual. But first, how about the LSU Tigers? They keep rolling along, as well as the New Orleans Saints, and the Pelicans are coming into their own. Hey, but by the way, we're going to do something a little different than normal. Instead of Saints, Pels, LSU, Tulane, we're going to go to World Cup Rugby. We've got one of the best rugby players in the entire world. His name is Cam Dolan, and he plays for the NOLA Gold. And also, we're going to have a Louisiana-born actor, because this is a sports and entertainment show. He's been in Los Angeles for 3 decades, and he's back in New Orleans. Last week, he did a one-man play called Wild Son, the testimony of Christian Brando, and it's going to be phenomenal. Stay tuned next on Primetime Sports.
Hey, New Orleans, get ready for some rugby. There's a new pro sports team in town, and it's NOLA Gold. Now, I can tell you, once rugby gets in your blood, you never lose that bond. I'm John Goodman. Get your tickets now at NOLAGoldRugby.com, and I'll see you in the scrum.
Make no mistake about it. Life's more fun with seafood.
Oysters don't swim.
They do in butter.
What'd you get? A little bit of everything to make everyone happy.
Acme Oyster House. Life really is more fun with seafood.
Handling a gator like this can be scary, and this is pretty risky too.
But do you know what's really dangerous? Dealing with the insurance company after your car wreck. If you've been injured, get a fighter.
That's why you need to call me. I'm not afraid to handle them, and I'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve. So if you've been hurt, hire a professional. Just call me. Get it done.
Get Gordon. Get it done.
Call 1-800-653-9968.
Did you know that GMFS Mortgage is the largest independent mortgage company in Louisiana? Their 250 employees have helped over 79,000 customers make the dream of home ownership come true. They funded over $12.9 billion in loans right here in Southeast Louisiana. If you're ready to buy, build, or renovate a new home, or just need to refinance, call the company born and raised here, GMFS Mortgage.
Rock and roll will never die. It's old New Orleans, my oh my. Come on, baby, let's go rock and roll at the city lane. All night, let's roll, let's rock and roll. Baby, do the rock and roll. At Mid-City Lanes, the home of rock and roll.
Hey, don't forget my pimento cheese. Of course.
the love of palmetto cheese. Primetime Sports with Scott Alexander is underwritten by Task Performance.
Hey, welcome back to Primetime Sports. And like I said in the open, this show is going to be a little different. In the first show, we talked a lot about LSU football, the Saints football, a little bit about the Pelicans. Last show was about LSU basketball mainly. Well, this show we're going to other sports and other activities. I've always said this is a New Orleans and Louisiana sports and entertainment show. We're going to have an actor coming in next from Baton Rouge. He's been in L.A. for 3 decades. His name is John Niese. But right now, hey, one of the best rugby players in the country. He certainly is a worldwide player. He's been in the World Cup the last 2 times in 2015 in England and just got finished a couple months ago in Japan for representing the United States with the Eagles. His name is Cam Dolan, and he's a member of the NOLA Gold, which is going into his 3rd year. We'll talk more about that in a second. But Cam, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Last time you came with Kane Thompson, a New Zealander. I guess that would have been almost a year ago. But I want to get into before we get NOLA Gold, I want to get into the World Cup because this is a huge deal. What people around don't really realize, and certainly I didn't before, was that the World Cup is more watched than the Super Bowl. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it happens, once every 4 years. So, fans that follow those teams, watch them a little bit here, a little bit there, but then to be on the world stage, competing for the William Webb Ellis Cups,
it's unbelievable, though.
Thing.
I mean, it's got to be an honor. Let me say this, because, I mean, it's the Olympics, right? And then you got Soccer World Cup, they tell me is the 2nd most, but you're the 3rd most watched event. I know it's a bunch of countries, and that's probably part of it, but what kind of honor is that to represent your country, not just 1, but 2 times?
Yeah, I mean, I guess every time you step on the field, with a jersey on that says Team USA, it's, quite an honorable experience. I've been lucky enough to do it 51 times now.
Wow.
And every game, is a blessing, and, a lot of hard work goes in, to get there.
So each time you step on, is that when you get a cap, or is it each event? How does that work? They call it caps.
They just call it a cap. So each game is called a cap.
Right.
But you don't actually get per se a cap. You get one for your 1st, your 50th, 100th.
But 50 is huge, though, because I was told like 25 was huge when I first started calling it. And you're doubling that, and you're really just 30 years old. Or should I say you're 25? You're 30 years old.
I am 29. I'm not 30 yet. I'm not 30 yet. I'm close, though.
That's quite an accomplishment, though.
Yeah. So like I said, I've had some really good coaches along the way. I've had good teammates that have pushed me. I've been fortunate enough to stay healthy for the most part of my career. And I guess all the pieces just kind of fell into place.
Differentiate for the new fan, because obviously the Gold are getting bigger. They just moving into the New Orleans Zephyrs / Baby Cake Stadium. That's a 10,000-seat stadium. 13,000 can really get in there when we include the suites and tents and stuff like that. But compared to football, obviously this has been a Saints town, an LSU Tiger town. What does rugby bring as opposed to football to the city of New Orleans?
I mean, you still have that physicality of football. With a few extra little.
No pads. I know that part. And you play offense and defense.
And you run a lot, and you're out there for 80 minutes, and there's no rolling subs. Once you get subbed off, you're done for the game. So it's just kind of a little mix of everything. Soccer, football. Even a little bit of like basketball and wrestling, if you want to throw that in there as well. So
yeah,
I think it'll be. I think the New Orleans fans. The last 2 seasons it's grown, and I think being over in the East Bank now and in a bigger stadium, I think it's going to be big for us, and I think the fans are going to enjoy it a lot more too. As
a kid growing up, I'm curious. You obviously played other sports. I don't think you started with rugby. What are some of the other sports you played, and how did that help you in rugby?
Well, that's the thing. I think I played a little bit of everything growing up as far as organized sports go. I played baseball, soccer, football, basketball. I played organized as well, and then I actually played travel hockey for like 8 years.
Like field hockey, right?
No, like ice hockey.
Oh, ice? Wait, you were doing ice hockey?
Yeah.
You were from Fort Myers, Florida?
Yeah.
Tell me how that came about. I thought this whole time it was field hockey.
No, so we have there's an ECHL team down there called the Florida Everblades.
Right.
It's the East Coast Hockey League,
Sure.
and they have like their junior teams and stuff like that. So like under 8s, under 10s, under 12s, under 14s. Yeah, so I did that growing up.
How'd you evolve into rugby? When did that happen?
Oh, I took a break from sports my sophomore year of high school. I think I was just a bit burnt out, like I said, from playing all the sports growing
Traveling
up.
and all that,
and everything, yeah. And it got to me finally, and I was like, man, I don't know if I want to play anything. So I didn't play anything my sophomore year of high school. And then started my junior year, a guy I played football with, I was like, hey, why don't you come try rugby. They had just moved down from New Jersey a couple years prior, and they brought rugby down and started a program in the school. Their dad was real passionate about it, so I came out to one practice and absolutely
Did you know nothing about it before?
I had no idea.
So it's the second largest sport in the world. These are things I've learned in the last year. It is the fastest growing sport in America, in this league that you're in, the MLR. This curiosity is going around the world. I mean, you're seeing more and more great players from Australia, South Africa, South America, even in the United Kingdom. They're coming over to play. What makes them so curious about this league?
It's a new league. It's always interesting to start something new, you know what I mean, and be part of that. Kind of like a trailblazer, I guess you'd say.
No doubt. No, I hear you.
With that said, too, I mean, America's a pretty big country and well known around the world, so maybe that's just something, that they're really interested in.
I know you played in San Diego your first year. You've been with New Orleans. Obviously, your second year, you're one of the stars. You're playing what they call the A position. Now you're going to your third year. How have you seen the growth? I mean, as a player, because obviously you're seeing it grow more. Atlanta's coming in. Obviously, New York came in last year. Toronto came in last year. With Atlanta, you got D.C. and Boston. Next year, you're growing even more Western, L.A.
and Vegas,
Vegas and even Chicago and Dallas. To go along with all those Western cities you already had, what's the growth meant for you as a player, and what have you seen?
Well, I definitely say, from year 1 to year 2, the physicality definitely stepped up, and the level of fitness, which is huge. You add those two components, and it's it changes the game completely. It makes it a bit more competitive,
right?
And a bit more appealing to the fans.
Why did you pick New Orleans? I know you had your choices of teams. You were described to me, by the way, as the best American playing in America. And the sport of rugby. I'm just saying.
I don't know.
I'm just throwing it out there. That's how I was
so
described. But the fact that you have your choice of places to play. I know that for a fact. Why New Orleans?
Originally from Florida. I went to college in Atlanta, and I like the South.
But San Diego wasn't too bad, was it?
No, San Diego wasn't too bad. It just wasn't for me either. I'm like Southern boy. I like I like my Southern cooking. I like being by the ocean and fresh seafood. So.
And Southern girls aren't bad either.
All right.
They're okay. Hey, by the way, the new stadium, I got to ask you, tell me what the team's thinking about this, because it's a whole new level. I mean, listen, you have to start somewhere, but you're on the West Bank originally, and it's a fine place. But it's hard for people from the East Bank of New Orleans to want to go there. So, it's a whole different thing. What's the team's outlook right now in this aspect of it?
I think we're just kind of going, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing as far as players go. As far as the the staff behind in the office, they're doing their stuff. They're working hard day in and day out, and we just got to train well and play well.
Hey, I know last season you surprised the league. I know that the Seattle, San Diego, Glendale, those kind of been the powers that people knew that they were going to. But last year the goal came out strong, winning 3 in a row. Obviously, I think they were 8-1 maybe at one point. They were just rolling. What was that like to all of a sudden be? Y'all were also kind of considered the bad boys, meaning not in a bad way like the Raiders, but y'all had a reputation. Y'all were big, fast, strong, and you got things done.
We're a bit gritty, kind of like the city here. We're a bit gritty and passionate, and we kind of took that and molded it into our game as well.
What's this outlook now? I mean, who do you have coming in that might help things? I know you already had a great back line.
We got a kid from South Africa named Carl Meyer.
Oh my goodness!
So he's one heck of an athlete. He's a big, strong boy. So, he's gonna add some firepower in the backs, and then the forwards we got Dino Waldron.
Gonna play prop.
Tight head prop. So,
right.
We lost Zach Striffler, who was real good for us last year.
Great guy.
Yeah, and but
Robbie Coleman from Australia, I think, coming in and played like the quarterback position. I heard
he'll be good. He'll be very good.
It's going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, he's got a good resume. So
6'5", you're about 250. You run a 4.4. Where's this athleticism come from?
I don't know about that.
Maybe a 4.5.
Maybe a high 4.6. No, my parents are both athletic. My dad was a high jumper in high school and college, and my mom didn't really play sports, but she's just a good all-around athlete.
So there he is. He runs a 5'1". That is Cam Dolan.
7'2".
7'2". Hey, I want to appreciate you coming. Hey, I got as always. You came once with Kane Thompson last year. We got a shirt for you. Task Performance. Feels so soft. There's not a person that's put that on that says it's not the best feeling shirt they've ever had. Bamboo cotton fiber. No synthetics in there.
Thanks for having me, man.
I appreciate you, Cam Dolan. Check out the NOLA goal this season. They are moving, like I said, into the Shrine on Airline. we're going to start calling it the Gold Mine on their line over there. That's going to be fun, and it's going to be entertaining. So get on out and get your tickets. The season starts on February the 8th. But coming up next, we're going to change gears quite a bit. You know, I have a lot of musicians that have come on the show. We've had a lot of restaurateurs, artists, and we've also had the governor a couple times. But very few actors. We got one coming up now. He's Louisiana bred, and he's been living in Tinseltown for 3 decades. He's coming here, right here on Primetime Sports next.
Hey, don't forget my pimento cheese. Of course.
It's okay, I'll take it from here.
Hey, can I get a seat?
For the love of palmetto cheese. Rock and roll will never die. It's old New Orleans, my oh my. Come on, baby, let's go rock and roll at the city lanes. All night, let's roll, let's rock and roll. Baby, do the rock and roll at the mid-city lanes, the home of rock and roll.
Make no mistake about it. Life's more fun with seafood.
Oysters don't swim.
They do in butter.
What'd you get? A little bit of everything to make everyone happy.
Acme Oyster House. Life really is more fun with seafood.
Handling a gator like this can be scary, and this is pretty risky too.
But do you know it's really dangerous? Dealing with the insurance company after your car wreck. If you've been injured, get a fighter.
That's why you need to call me. I'm not afraid to handle them, and I'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve. So if you've been hurt, hire a professional. Just call me. Get it done.
Get Gordon. Get it done.
Call 1-800-653-9968.
Did you know that GMFS Mortgage is the largest independent mortgage company in Louisiana? Their 250 employees have helped over 79,000 customers make the dream of home ownership come true. They funded over $12.9 billion in loans right here in Southeast Louisiana. If you're ready to buy, build, or renovate a new home, or just need to refinance, call the company born and raised here, GMFS Mortgage.
Hey, welcome back to Primetime Sports, and we're going to take the sports a little bit out of this because, like I said, it's sports and entertainment. I love having different kind of aspects of people from Louisiana doing great things around the country, and we have one right here, a guy that I've known since college. He's been in Los Angeles doing all kind of shows, Suits, Law and Order, Castle, it goes on and on. He's been in all kind of movies too. He's also been in a commercial we'll talk about later. But right now, he is traveling around the country, and he was in New Orleans this past week doing a one-person play called Wild Son, the testimony of Christian Brando. And that, of course, Marlon Brando's son. If you've followed the news over the last couple of decades, you know he's had a wild ride. And the guy that's been bringing it to us, John Niese.
Hey, man. Good
Welcome,
to see you.
brother. How you doing, man?
Fantastic.
LSU guy, I know you love the LSU Tigers. Let's go there first because I see you on Facebook. I see you talking about the Tigers. You love your team.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, you know, the first job I ever had was selling programs at the LSU Stadium.
Are you kidding me?
When I was like 10 years old, and we got to go for free.
Burt Jones and all that? I mean, back in the day?
That's when I started, man. So, yeah, my family, you know, we grew up in Baton Rouge. So
LSU
is our team, and I moved to Los Angeles a long time ago.
A long time ago.
And that's the only team, that and the Saints are the only football teams that I really have ever had allegiance to, and that's who I still follow, you know. So, hey, we're doing pretty good right now.
Give people an idea real quick, moving from the football, because the Saints and LSU are both doing fantastic.
Yeah.
But moving forward, you know, you got into this acting thing. Tell me how that began. Where'd you get the bug? I mean, was it in high school, college, or was it post-college?
I think it was mostly in college, just because I loved movies.
Right.
That was my thing, man. I mean, I couldn't figure out anything else that I loved. And I took an acting course at LSU. I graduated in advertising, but there was a guy in my fraternity that was really into acting. His name was Barry Lee, and he was majored in acting. And it kind of made it okay to do it. So I took a class.
He's a cool guy.
Yeah. And I loved it. And I don't know. I took another class, but then I graduated and I said, well, I'm not going to be an actor. I said, how could you be an actor?
Exactly, right?
But then when I finished, I was like, well, what am I going to do? Because I didn't really want to go into advertising. And I bumped into the guy that was the head of the department that was starting a master's program.
Sure.
And I said, hey, can I audition for Death of a Salesman? I heard you guys are doing that.
Arthur Miller, yes.
Yeah. And he says, yeah. And he goes, but there's another show that I'm directing called The Tooth of Crime by Sam Shepard. And you should read it.
Wow.
So I read it. He got me to be the understudy for this big Hollywood actor that was coming to town to play the lead. And the guy ended up not coming. I ended up playing the role.
Are you kidding me?
And
Is that how it started?
And I was hooked, dude. I was like,
that was it, huh?
Oh, well, yeah, it was like a rock and roll Hamlet. And I was on stage from the beginning to the end, and I killed myself. And it was like mind-blowing to me at that age. And my first major show. And I just said, man, I like this. I want to do this. And I threw myself into the master's program because I had done a show with him.
Yeah.
He let me in, and then it was, one thing to the next.
So you went from one LA to the other LA. Obviously, you were in tons of things. I mean, I've seen you in Law and Order and a bunch of stuff. Kind of give me the stuff that you remember the most, that you cherish the most.
Well, I mean, Law and Order was big for me because it's Law and Order. It's like everybody watches it. And it was one of the first times they just offered me the role. Like, I didn't audition for it. They had sent my tape, and my agent called me and gave me the script, and I was like, I go, what? This is my role? They're just giving it to me?
Exactly.
I said, what's wrong with it? I go, is the guy just so sick that nobody wants to play him? And he was pretty sick. But I went and I had a blast doing that.
Yeah.
Sex and the City was a big deal because it was just starting. And I only have like 2 or 3 lines, but it's one of the best jokes ever. And it got a lot of life, the whole.
What's the joke? I gotta hear it.
Well, it's. I'm trying to think. Like, I have to PG rate it because it's it's a dirty word. But I'm Mr. Deja.
I got it. I got it.
Yeah, and it's a really. I mean, it's presented very simply and funny, but it's hilarious, and it had a lot of legs to it.
I was gonna wait till after we talk about Brando, but real quick. There was this thing, I lived in Washington, D.C. You were in a commercial, and it's a Bud Dry commercial, and it's like, it looks like there's a woman, I guess, interviewing potential dates, and here it is right here, because your role is one we always talked about.
A lot of women find my looks intimidating. Do you?
My mother makes the best brisket.
There I was in the Congo.
Why is a good man so hard to find?
And there you are. A good man is hard to find. I mean, that got you lots of play. That thing played on every major network for about a year.
Yeah, I mean, like, I hate to say it, but that's literally I'm most famous for that. In everything I've done, nothing ever reached that sort of peak level of awareness.
There I was, in the Congo. Just look at, and then you look away real quick.
Yeah,
that's genius.
It was a very fun commercial to shoot. I tell you what, the way they did that, they got all 6 of us. There were 6 guys, and we all had to sit there and watch the other guy get up there and do his bit.
Right.
So it was competitive, because you could do the math and you could go, one of us is not going to be in this spot because there's not enough room.
Sure.
And one guy was not in the spot. I won't tell you who that was, but the guy Pete Honorati at the end. He came in and he did the tough jock guy, and I was like psyched out because I was going to be like the manly guy.
Right.
So I didn't know what I was going to do, and I just went nuts with it. They rolled the camera for about 5 minutes, and I did it 100 times.
Wow.
And they picked that one.
That's pretty cool.
It became something.
And the guy before you was a regular on Sex and the City. But let's talk about Marlon Brando. Let's talk about Christian Brando.
Please.
Let's talk about this play. I saw it last week. It was riveting. It was unbelievable. Your performance as a one-man was just something like I've never seen before.
Thank you.
So let's go forward. Tell me about the genesis of this, and tell me about the play itself.
Well, it is the most amazing thing that has ever come my way, and it actually fell into my lap. There's a guy named Champ Clark that I'm very good friends with. We took an acting group class sort of every Wednesday for years. And he just called me up one day and he said, I'm going to send you something. Will you read it? and he sent me this script. He met Christian Brando years before he died, and he became friends with him, and he said, hey, has anybody ever interviewed you to tell your story from your mouth? And Christian's like, no, nobody wants to do that. And he was like, I would like to do that. So it flattered him.
Right.
And anyway, Champ had all these audio tape interviews of him, and he edited this thing together in the most amazing way, because I read this and I said, this is amazing, anybody would want to read it. And he goes, I want you to read it out loud in front of a bunch of people. He goes, I want to see if it works as a play. And I was like, okay. And I was really kind of humoring my friend. But I went and I read this in front of some sort of big people, like Beth Henley is a Pulitzer Prize winning playwright.
Wow, okay.
And she was there. And I'm telling you, man, I read 2 or 3 pages of this thing, and I looked up, and the audience was like, they were in the palm of my hand for that entire
And you know
hour.
it, don't you? You know it when they are in the hand?
And I looked at Champ when it was over. I said, I'm doing this. And I said, you're not going to let, there's no way you can stop me. I go, let's take this thing and run. I memorized it in 2 weeks, and I started doing it for different people. And, you know, here we are now. It's growing.
It seems like you've been doing it all over the country. I follow you on Facebook. I know you did a little 5-week run in Santa Monica near where you live, but you've been doing this a long time. Tell me some of the places and tell me some of the reactions you're getting.
Well, we did it, of course, being in LA, we've done it a lot in California around. We did it in Puffers at Pismo, is a bar in Pismo Beach. But dude, that was like awesome. The first time we did it, it was so hot, the audience was sweating, but nobody was moving because I gotta tell you, it's the most riveting story, you know, and I'm doing it in New York in June with the National Arts Club. They invited me to come up there, and they're gonna present it. I'm aiming to try to get it at Steppenwolf in Chicago.
Wow.
The material is so good that I know it will find all these
I have
homes.
friends in Atlanta that were so jealous when I put that on Facebook. They were like, my God, literally like 3 of them.
I'm going to do it in Atlanta.
In Atlanta, by the way, and in New Orleans, I've waited for a year. You know, I've been asking, when's it coming down here? And it got to Baton Rouge on a weekend. I had to be out of town, and I was like, golly. And that was like months ago. But now it was here, and it was phenomenal. And John Niese, I got to thank you. If anybody ever hears Wild Son Christian Brando, or there was in the Congo, hey, let's do it. Let's do it. I appreciate you much. John Niese, check him out. Hey, IMDb him. He's been in a lot of stuff, a lot of fun, and a lot of great roles. And he is an LSU grad and an LSU Tiger fan. Lots of people to thank, obviously. Want to thank Cam Dolan, a world-class rugby player. Get on out and see your NOLA Gold. And, of course, the Redhead Tsunami. Producer Albert DuPont, Sonia Due over here at Loyola, as well as the good folks at WWL and CST. And don't forget Daniel Cardenas, who just helped us today. See you next week on Primetime Sports.
Well, it's funny that you say that. Let me tell you.